The scream tore through the sun-baked villa like a sirocco wind, raw and unrelenting, as Anastasia burst into the sunlit kitchen, her heels clicking like gunfire on the terracotta tiles. "What the hell are you doing? That's my daughter you're drowning in a goddamn cooking pot." Her voice cracked, a venomous whip laced with the exhaustion of a woman who'd clawed her way from New York penthouses to this gilded exile in Spain's Costa del Sol, only to find betrayal in the one place she thought safe. Little Sophia, barely 3, splashed innocently in the oversized earthenware olla, her giggles bubbling up like champagne, oblivious to the storm her mother had become. Magnolia froze, her hands, calloused from years of quiet labor, still cradling the child's tiny shoulders, water droplets tracing paths down her sun-kissed arms like unshed tears. At 28, she looked every bit the earthy guardian angel the agency had promised, long, raven waves tied back in a loose braid, olive skin glowing under the afternoon light filtering through the lemon trees outside, and those deep hazel eyes that held secrets deeper than the Strait of Gibraltar. But now, those eyes flashed with a hurt that cut deeper than Anastasia's rage, a silent accusation that whispered, "You don't know me anymore." "It's not what you think, Anna," she murmured, her American Southern lilt softened by 2 years in Andalusia, "this pot. It's the only way to keep her safe." Anastasia's chest heaved, her tailored silk blouse, imported from Milan, armor against the world's judgments, clinging to her like a second skin. 35 and forged in the fires of Wall Street mergers and Manhattan heartbreaks, she was a vision of controlled fury, sharp cheekbones framed by a severe bob of chestnut hair, emerald eyes that could negotiate billion-dollar deals or shatter a lover's illusions with equal precision. She'd fled here after the divorce, trading skyscrapers for this sprawling finca in Marbella, where the sea whispered promises of reinvention. Hiring Magnolia had been a whim, a nod to nostalgia. The nanny's resume mentioned a shared alma mater in Atlanta, a faint echo of college crushes long buried under layers of ambition and denial. But now, seeing her own flesh and blood in that rustic relic of a pot, something primal snapped. Safe. From what? Your half-assed folklore remedies. I pay you top euro to protect her, not play witch doctor in my kitchen. Sophia clapped her hands, sending arcs of warm water flying, her chubby cheeks flushed pink from the steam rising like mist from the ancient hills. The pot wasn't some rusted relic, it was an heirloom, wide and shallow, lined with centuries of olive oil residue that Magnolia swore purified the water, drawing out impurities like a confessional for the soul. In the old villages of inland Malaga, where Magnolia's abuela had raised her during summers away from Georgia's humid sprawl, such vessels were birthed for baptisms and baths, vessels of continuity in a world that chewed up the fragile. But Anastasia saw only poverty's shadow, a slap to her empire built on algorithms and acquisitions. Get her out. Now. Anastasia's command was ice, but beneath it trembled the ghost of vulnerability, the same tremor that had echoed in dorm rooms 15 years ago, when a stolen kiss under magnolia blossoms had bloomed into something neither dared name. They'd lost touch after graduation, Anastasia jetting to Yale Law, Magnolia vanishing into community colleges and caregiving gigs. Fate, or cruel irony, had reunited them here, in this villa perched on cliffs where the Mediterranean met the Sierra Blanca's rugged spine. Magnolia lifted Sophia gently, wrapping her in a towel embroidered with Andalusian lace, her movements deliberate, a dancer's grace honed from years of soothing strangers' children while her own dreams withered like unpicked figs. As the toddler toddled off toward the garden, clutching a wooden toy horse, the air thickened with the scent of jasmine and unspoken histories. Anastasia slumped against the marble island, her manicured fingers tracing the edge of a half-empty glass of Rioja, the wine's ruby depths mirroring her turmoil. Why a pot, Mag? Why not the clawfoot tub upstairs, with its jets and lavender salts? I brought you here to give her the world, not this. Her voice softened, cracking on the edge of plea, the billionaire's facade fracturing to reveal the woman who'd buried her heart after Elena's betrayal, the ex-wife who'd drained half her fortune in alimony disguised as art investments. Magnolia wiped her hands on her apron, the fabric faded from too many washes in the village laundromat, and met Anastasia's gaze head-on. Because that water from the tap? It's laced with God knows what from the drought. The desal plants down the coast pump out brine that'd choke a fish, let alone a baby. This pot's been cured in olive presses for generations. It filters, Anna. It remembers. She stepped closer, the space between them humming like a live wire, memories flickering, late-night study sessions in the Georgia heat, fingers brushing over shared notes, the electric thrill of possibility before life pulled them apart. You think I don't know luxury? I've seen it, nannied for your kind in the Hamptons, wiping noses while they yachted away weekends. But luxury don't keep a child pure. Tradition does. Anastasia laughed, a bitter bark that echoed off the vaulted ceilings. Tradition. That's rich coming from you, the girl who ghosted me after that party, leaving me to wake up alone with a hangover and a hollow chest. The words hung heavy, a confession dragged from the depths. She'd never spoken them aloud, not to therapists in Soho lofts or lovers in fleeting Barcelona flings. But here, in this sun-drenched exile, with the sea's rhythm pounding like a heartbeat, the dam broke. Magnolia's face paled, her full lips parting in a gasp that carried the weight of regrets unspoken. I didn't ghost you, Magnolia whispered, her voice threading through the tension like a needle. I ran. Scared shitless of what we were becoming, what I was becoming, loving a woman who shone like the dam's sun while I scraped by on scholarships and side hustles. You were destined for boardrooms, I was headed for breakdowns. She reached out, hesitating, her fingers hovering near Anastasia's wrist, the pulse there leaping like a trapped bird. The kitchen clock ticked, marking seconds that stretched into eternities, the world outside alive with cicadas and distant goat bells from the terraced hills. Anastasia pulled away, but not before the touch ignited embers long banked. And now? What are you running from here, Mag? My money. My mess of a life. She gestured wildly at the villa's opulence, the sub-zero fridge humming with imported delicacies, the infinity pool glittering beyond the French doors like a sapphire vein. Her wealth, amassed through a fintech startup that revolutionized microlending for immigrant communities, was her shield and her curse. Billions in assets, yet solitude as her constant companion, save for Sophia, the surprise from a brief thaw with Elena before the ice returned. Magnolia's eyes darkened, shadows of old pains surfacing. I'm not running. I'm here because Sophia needs me, needs us. And because. Damn it, Anna, I never stopped wondering what if. The admission landed soft as sea foam, yet it rocked Anastasia like a gale. For the first time since the divorce papers yellowed in a drawer, hope flickered, fragile as the first olive bloom. But the moment shattered with the trill of Anastasia's phone, the screen lighting up with her lawyer's name from Madrid. Senora Voss, we have a problem. The audit, it's uncovering discrepancies in the offshore accounts. Someone's been siphoning since the acquisition last year. Anastasia's blood ran cold, the Rioja turning to ash in her mouth. Discrepancies. Her empire, built on trust funds and venture capital, was the one unassailable thing. As she paced the kitchen, Magnolia watched, her expression a mask of quiet storm, knowing more than she let on. That night, as the moon rose over the almond groves, Anastasia couldn't sleep. She wandered the villa's labyrinthine halls, Sophia's nursery a soft glow of nightlights shaped like fireflies. Magnolia sat in the rocking chair, humming a lullaby in Spanish, Duerme, mi niña, bajo las estrellas, her voice a balm that tugged at Anastasia's resolve. Can't you ever just stay? Anastasia murmured from the doorway, the words escaping before pride could cage them. Magnolia looked up, her braid undone now, hair spilling like midnight silk. Staying's what got me here. But leaving? That's what breaks us. She rose, closing the distance, and for a heartbeat, their breaths mingled, the air charged with the scent of salt and sage. Then Sophia stirred, a tiny whimper pulling them back, and the chasm yawned wide again. Days blurred into a tense rhythm, mornings of Sophia's laughter echoing through sunlit courtyards, afternoons of Anastasia buried in conference calls with forensic accountants, evenings where Magnolia's stories of Andalusian folklore wove threads of magic into the mundane. Yet beneath the domestic veneer, fissures grew. Anastasia's team uncovered trails leading to a shell company tied to her ex's art dealer, a betrayal that stung like lemon on a cut But whispers hinted at internal leaks, someone close. One sweltering afternoon, as thunderheads gathered over the Sierras, Anastasia confronted the mirror in her ensuite, the woman staring back a stranger, lines etched deeper around her eyes, the weight of suspicion bowing her shoulders. Magnolia knocked softly, entering with a tray of chilled gazpacho and figs from the garden. "You look like hell, boss," she teased, but her eyes betrayed worry, the kind that saw through facades. "Don't call me that," Anastasia snapped, then softened. "Tell me about the pot again. Why it matters." It was an olive branch, clumsy but genuine. Magnolia set the tray down, her sundress whispering against her legs, simple cotton, bought from a market stall in Ronda, worlds away from Anastasia's designer labels. "My abuela said it holds memories. Every bath in it washes away the bad, leaves room for the good. Like how the olives press their bitterness into oil that heals." She paused, her gaze drifting to the window where storm clouds boiled. "You need that, Anna. You've been pressing your hurt so long, you're pure venom now." The words landed true, and Anastasia reached for her hand, their fingers lacing like forgotten puzzle pieces. "What if the venom's in my blood? What if this wealth? It's all poisoned?" Her voice trembled, the confession spilling, doubts about the fintech's origins, a seed investment from Elena's shady connections that now threatened to unravel everything. Magnolia squeezed, her touch electric. "Then we find the antidote. Together." The promise hung, ripe as summer fruit, and for the first time, Anastasia believed it possible. But as the storm broke, rain lashing the villa like accusations, an encrypted email pinged, coordinates to a meeting in Gibraltar, anonymous sender demanding proof of loyalty, or exposure. The game had begun, and Magnolia's secrets were the wild card neither saw coming. The drive to Gibraltar twisted like a knife through Anastasia's gut, the coastal highway a ribbon of asphalt hugging cliffs that plunged into turquoise fury below. She'd left Sophia with the local au pair, a sturdy woman from the village named Carmen, whose hands smelled of rosemary and reliability, insisting Magnolia stay behind. "This is my mess," Anastasia had said that morning, her voice clipped over café con leche in the sun-dappled breakfast nook. But Magnolia's hazel eyes had narrowed, a flicker of something unreadable, fear? Guilt, crossing her face like a shadow from the gathering clouds. Now, alone in the sleek Audi, wind whipping through the open window, Anastasia replayed the email's cryptic demand, neutral ground. "Bring the ledger. Or watch your olive empire wither." The ledger, her private journal of transactions, hidden in a cloud vault accessible only by biometric scan. How had they gotten wind? Her mind raced to Elena, the axe with her predatory smile and gallery of forged Picassos, but instinct whispered closer threats. The engine's hum blended with the radio's faint strains of flamenco, a mournful guitar crying out the duende of lost loves and hidden shames. Gibraltar loomed, its rock a sentinel scarred by history, British redcoats and Moorish ghosts mingling in the salt air. She parked near the cable car base, the anonymous meat spot a nondescript cafe tucked into the shadow of duty-free shops hawking cheap perfume and British biscuits. The sender, El Fantasma. Ghost. Fitting for a phantom draining her accounts, one microloan at a time, funneling funds to who knows where, terror cells. Black market antiquities. The audit had flagged €50 million vanished into ether, enough to topple her board if leaked to the FT. She spotted him immediately, mid-40s, salt and pepper beard, nursing an espresso at a corner table, his linen suit rumpled like a discarded map. No thug, this was a suit, a fixer from the underbelly of Marbella's yacht clubs. "Senora Voss," he greeted, his accent a hybrid of Andalusian gravel and London polish, gesturing to the seat opposite. "You've got the fire of your Yankee blood. Sit. We talk terms." Anastasia slid in, her posture ramrod straight, channeling the boardroom shark who'd once stared down a Saudi prince over oil futures. "Terms? You steal from me, then dictate. Who sent you?" She slid the encrypted drive across the Formica table, her heart pounding a war drum. He pocketed it with a smirk, leaning in, his breath sour with tobacco. "Not steal, Rebalance. You're pretty fintech. It's a house of cards built on my employer's seed money. Elena's not the villain, she's the messenger. But you've been blind to the hands pulling strings. His eyes gleamed, predatory. The truth. Your wealth ain't yours alone. It's tangled in debts older than this rock, family ties you never knew. Family. Anastasia's laugh was hollow. Her parents, stern Atlanta lawyers, had died in a car wreck when she was 12, leaving scholarships and spite as inheritance. No skeletons, just the grind. Bullshit. Name your price. A meeting. With the ghost herself. Tomorrow, Rhonda's old bridge at dusk. He stood, tossing euros on the table. Come alone, or the ledger goes public. And Voss. Watch your nanny. Ghosts have long memories. The words landed like a gut punch. Magnolia. No. Ridiculous. Yet as she sped back to the villa, the Sierras blurring into verdant smears, doubt gnawed like termites in teak. Had Magnolia's arrival been coincidence or calculation? Those late-night talks, her touch lingering just so, seduction as strategy. The pot incident replayed, Magnolia's calm in the face of rage now suspect, a ploy to embed deeper. Dusk painted the finca in bruised purples as Anastasia pulled up, gravel crunching under tires. Sophia barreled out, arms outstretched, her curls wild from garden romps. Mama! Maggie made paella. The child's joy was a lifeline, pulling Anastasia from the abyss. But inside, the kitchen hummed with domestic magic, saffron threads dancing in a cast-iron pan, Magnolia stirring with a wooden spoon worn smooth by generations, her braids swinging like a pendulum. You look like you wrestled a bull, Magnolia said, plating the rice with lemon wedges and prawns from the morning market. No probe, just concern, her eyes scanning Anastasia's face like a cartographer mapping ruins. Anastasia forced a smile, scooping Sophia onto her hip. Just business. The usual sharks circling. They ate on the terrace, the sea a silver sheet under emerging stars, conversation skirting edges, Sophia's new words, mariposa, for butterfly, the neighbors feuding over water rights in the drought. But tension coiled, unspoken, until Sophia dozed in Anastasia's arms, her breath soft as sea breezes. Hand her over, Magnolia whispered, lifting the child with effortless grace. As she carried Sophia inside, Anastasia followed, the hallway's shadows lengthening like fingers. In the nursery, moonlight filtered through gauzy curtains, casting lace patterns on the walls. Magnolia laid Sophia down, tucking a quilt embroidered with olive motifs, her own handiwork, stitches tight as secrets. You're good at this, Anastasia said, voice low. Too good. Makes a woman wonder why. Magnolia turned, her silhouette framed by the window, the night sky a velvet dome pricked with constellations. Wonder what? If I'm here for the paycheck or the paella. A teasing lilt, but her eyes held depths, pools of brown flecked with gold. Anastasia stepped closer, the air between them thickening. Or for me. The words escaped, bold as a bullfighter's passe, and Magnolia didn't retreat. Instead, she reached up, tracing a thumb along Anastasia's jaw, the touch feather-light, igniting nerves dormant since their youth. For all of it, Magnolia breathed, her southern drawl wrapping around the confession like kudzu. You, Sophia, this place, it's the life I ran toward, not from. Their lips met then, tentative at first, a brush of possibility that deepened into hunger, years of what-ifs pouring out in sighs and salt-tinged kisses. Anastasia's hands found Magnolia's waist, pulling her close, the world narrowing to the rhythm of breaths and the distant crash of waves. It was tender, fervent, a reclaiming under the Spanish moon, no rush, just the slow burn of souls aligning. They broke apart, foreheads touching, laughter bubbling soft. God, I've missed this, Anastasia murmured, her fingers tangling in Magnolia's hair. Missed you. But dawn brought clarity, and cruelty. Anastasia's phone buzzed with a leaked snippet from the ledger, a transfer to a charity Magnolia had mentioned, one aiding queer youth in rural Georgia. Coincidence? Or complicity? Paranoia clawed back, and by breakfast, the warmth had chilled to frost. "You're quiet," Magnolia noted, pouring orange juice squeezed fresh from the grove, her sundress rumpled from their midnight tangle on the terrace chaise. Anastasia met her gaze, steeling herself. "The meeting yesterday. They mentioned you. Said to watch my nanny." The words tasted like betrayal, but she pressed on. "What's your game, Mag? The pot, the stories, is it all to get close? To what, bleed me dry like Elena?" Magnolia's spoon clattered into her bowl, color draining from her cheeks. "You think I'd, after last night?" Hurt flashed, raw as an open wound, but beneath it, resolve hardened. "Fine. You want truth. My full name's Magnolia Reyes Voss. Your abuela, the one you never met," Elena sighed, "she wasn't just some footnote. She left me half the seed money for your fintech, hidden in trusts to balance the scales for the family she abandoned when she went full wasp in Atlanta." Anastasia reeled, the terrace spinning. Voss? Her estranged grandmother, the one whispered about in family lore as the wild one who'd fled Spain for fortune, cutting ties with her Andalusian roots. Impossible. Elena lied about everything, the divorce, the money. "You're saying your family?" "Worse," Magnolia said, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I'm the ghost. Not to hurt you, to protect what she built. The siphons. Safeguards against Elena's cronies, who want to flip your platform for arms deals. I came back to watch over it. Over you." Betrayal twisted like a knife, but love blunted the edge. "You lied. From the start." "I chose life over ledger," Magnolia countered, rising, her eyes fierce. "And I'd do it again." She walked away, toward the olive groves, leaving Anastasia adrift in the wreckage of revelations. The day fractured, calls to lawyers confirming the trusts, emails tracing the ghost to Magnolia's discreet interventions. Fury warred with forgiveness, the villa's beauty mocking her turmoil. By evening, as Sophia napped, Anastasia drove to Rhonda, the puentes hanging like stone prayers over the gorge. The bridge meet loomed, but now she carried not just the ledger, but a heart cracked open. Rhonda's Puente Nuevo arched like a spine of defiance over the Guadalevans chasm, the wind howling through its spans as if mourning the lovers who'd once leapt into eternity below. Anastasia stood at the parapet, the dusk sky bleeding crimson and indigo, her coat whipping around her like a cape of unresolved storms. The ledger burned in her pocket, a talisman of truths half digested. Magnolia, her lover, her kin, a Reyes Voss hybrid, guardian of a legacy woven from olive roots and Wall Street vines. Betrayal? Or the deepest loyalty, disguised in southern grace and earthen pots? Footsteps echoed, deliberate, Elena, emerging from the gloom, her blonde bob impeccable even in exile, a cigarette dangling from lacquered lips. At 38, she was still the siren who'd lured Anastasia from boardrooms to boudoirs, her blue eyes sharp as the divorce decree she'd wielded like a stiletto. "Darling," she purred, American accent polished by years in European salons, "you look positively Byronic. Come to throw me off, or just reminisce?" Anastasia's grip tightened on the stone, knuckles widening. "No games, Elena. The ghost, the siphons, it's over. Magnolia told me everything." The name dropped like a gauntlet, and Elena's facade cracked, a smirk twisting into snarl. "That nanny bitch. Oh, Anna, always the soft spot for strays." She exhaled smoke, the tendrils curling like accusations. "She wasn't lying about the abuela, my mother, the flamenco dancer who traded sarongs for suits, leaving me scraps in spite. But the money. I built your empire on it, funneled through her trusts to launder my indiscretions. Arms. Please. Art, darling, priceless pieces smuggled from Syria, flipped for fortunes. Magnolia's been playing Robin Hood, redirecting to her pet causes, but it's my web. Rage surged, hot as the gorgeous breath. You used me. Our marriage, Sophia, all props for your gallery of ghosts. Anastasia's voice rose, echoing off the cliffs, drawing stares from tourists snapping selfies at the edge. But Elena only laughed, low and throaty, stepping closer, her perfume, jasmine laced with venom, invading the space. Used? We were equals in ambition, Anna. You with your algorithms, empowering for the poor, me with my collections, preserving culture. But you got squeamish when the bodies piled, metaphorical, mostly. She flicked the cigarette into the abyss, sparks trailing like fallen stars. Sign over the fintech, or I expose it all, the laundered funds, your little nanny's incestuous claim. Family reunions get so messy. The word, incestuous, landed like a slap, twisting Magnolia's revelation into something sordid. But Anastasia saw clearer now. The pot, the baths, not curses but cleansings, Magnolia's way of washing away the vast taint, offering purity amid the poison. You're done, she said, voice steel. The ledgers with Interpol, your smugglers flagged hours ago. And Magnolia? She's the only family worth claiming. Elena's eyes widened, calculation flickering to fear. You wouldn't. I already did. Anastasia turned, striding away, the bridge's shadow swallowing her ex's curses. Freedom tasted of wind and wild time, but grief shadowed it, the empire tainted, love forged in half-truths. Back at the villa, the lights glowed like beacons, Sophia's laughter spilling from the garden where fireflies danced. Magnolia knelt in the dirt, hands caked in soil, planting slips of rosemary amid the olives, a circle of renewal. She looked up as Anastasia approached, dirt-streaked face illuminated by lantern light, vulnerability etched in every line. 28, yet ancient as the groves, her sundress muddied, braid frayed, beautiful in her unvarnished truth. It's over, Anastasia said, sinking to her knees beside her. Elena's finished. The money. We'll rebuild, clean this time. No ghosts. Magnolia's hand stilled, hazel eyes searching. And us? I lied to protect you, but it carved us hollow. Can you forgive a fool who loved too quiet? Anastasia cupped her face, thumbs tracing the curve of cheekbones that echoed her abuela's portraits, fierce, forgotten women of the Sierras. Forgive. Mag, you've been my truth all along. The pot, the stories, you've, washing me clean when I didn't know I was drowning. Tears welled, hot and unbidden, spilling as their lips met again, this time under stars unclouded, a kiss of equals, no shadows between. Sophia toddled over, clutching a sprig of lavender, her sleepy smile bridging the gap. Mama kiss Maggie, she lisped, and they laughed, the sound weaving into the night chorus of crickets and waves. Months unfurled like olive leaves in spring. The scandal hit headlines, fintech queen topples art smugglers, but Anastasia pivoted, retooling the platform for transparent aid, Magnolia at her side as partner in board and bed. They married in Rhonda's old church, Sophia scattering petals from the abuela's heirloom pot, now a planter bursting with herbs. No billions left unscathed, but wealth redefined, in Sophia's first steps toward the sea, in Magnolia's lullabies blending Georgia gospel with Andalusian coplas, in the quiet certainty that love, like good oil, deepens with time. One evening, as harvest moon rose over the groves, they sat on the terrace, wineglass in hand, Sophia asleep inside. Think your abuela's smiling? Magnolia asked, head on Anastasia's shoulder, fingers intertwined. Anastasia kissed her temple, the world vast and warm. She's dancing. And so are we. In the end, the pot sat on the kitchen shelf, a vessel not of baths but blessings, reminding them that true riches rise from roots, resilient and shared.